Well, I'm at it again, guys. I guess I started midway on this, so I will fill in the backstory here. Got this saw for 20 bucks off a guy. He offered to me a little bit cheaper. Locked up. Good news is it has a removable head on these. So, after soaking it, heating it, and tapping the piston down, I got it to free up, and it was pretty much on the bottom stroke. I did have it running for a moment, but because of bad rings that it did have, it lost pretty much all compression. So, tore it all back down to this, and just installed the new rings. And one thing I've noticed, and the instructions here do not say it. You actually see it right there. The top one has ramps on it, while the bottom one does not. And this is a unopened new old stock thing of rings, which I've done the measurements and everything according to the instructions, put all the bore in and everything here. I've done all this already. No, there we go. And it checked out perfect on the measurements. Everything is good to go. I'm just unsure of which ring goes where, but I guess I'll just play with it like that there. If not, I'll just tear it back down. So, I'm going to do a few videos here on it. I've had a lot of guys asking questions about it. And I figured while I'm putting in new rings and everything, another new old stock part, head gasket, and of course these are the easiest things on the earth to lose. The check ball valve for the carburetor, which we'll do that in another one. But tonight's goal or whatever will probably be just get the cylinder head back on here, and it's all nice and clean. It's got one tiny little mark right there on the exhaust port. It's hard to see. I need a better camera. So, it's there. But it did run, and it ran great for that little tiny amount of time. So, she's had a new muffler from another donor, one put on her, and everything. So, this thing was a complete mess. I mean, on the inside and everything, and it only ran just long enough on prime fuel. So, we're going to get it back together here and see what damage I can do. Well, what not damage, but hopefully get at least the cylinder back on tonight. And then we will tackle some more of it tomorrow, because the only reason I can't really continue far is I lack a bolt that hooks the body and everything all together somewhere around here. And everything, it bolts on and crosses through and holds the two body parts together. So without that 4.5-inch bolt, which this one did not come with, hooks onto the back side of the carburetor. It's got a nut here. Hold on. Carburetor here, at least one. Carburetors. Has a nut right there. So I'm unsure if I might be able to get that later and everything. So I'll have to get that power. But we'll get this back on here and see what we can do. But for nobody that's really seen these instructions, I mean, they got some old school techniques on here. Worn grooves, check piston clearance, should be expanded by an approval method. If nobody's ever actually heard of that right there, I was told knurling. They would knurl the skirt to expand it. We've come a long ways from doing that. So, oversized pistons can still be found for these. Not a very common thing, but we'll get this back on here, and I really don't show the process too much because I don't have a camera holder. So, we'll be right back. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Actually fairly simple. That top one, being grooved the way it was, it slid right in for me. And then the bottom one, because it wasn't, well, if anybody's ever watched an unboxing video, you know what I use to unbox it. So, at least in McCulloch Chainsaws of North America group on Facebook. If you're not part of that, you see a lot of updates in there. If you're a McCulloch guy, request to join that page. You'll see a lot of these old saws in there. So, but the tool of choice, steak knife. So, don't eat steak in my house unless you bring your own knife. So, we've got that on there. Got to find one of the bolts, but I got a donor saw outside, so I'll just go get that one there. We'll get this bolted back down. I don't know the torque specs on it, but having worked on engines for quite a while here and have disassembled and assembled them, you get a pretty good feel of how it was when it was coming off and how it goes back on. So we'll get that thrown back on there, and maybe get the head retorqued onto here and go as far as we can until we need to get the body put back on. Cylinder back on, and of course, I don't think I even fit a torque wrench in there, but we all do this. Click, click. So all of them were done that way, and I tried to do an X pattern and stuff like that. So she's torqued down. Oh yeah, much better than the last one. Last one, you could get quite a few revolutions on. This one, the rings are definitely doing their job. So we'll get that coil mounted on there, hooked back up, and I think that might be about as far as we can go on this. Oh, when timing, setting the gap, points gap on these. There it is. This hole, you line it up with that slot with a 1/4 inch rod. That is considered when they're supposed, you set your gap at 0.018, which mine look a little out of whack. Mine look a little bigger than that. So well yeah, okay, because the spring is holding it. Duh. So we'll get that when that time comes. But get that coil mounted on, check for ignition after that. That's probably about as far as we can go tonight until I get to the hardware store tomorrow and get another video tossed up. So, get back to you guys. Man, this thing keeps going blurry on me for some reason. Coil is mounted, and a little tip here. What is this brass one used for? You use that one for measuring air gaps on your coil here. That's what that's for. It's meant for measuring those right there. So, if anybody didn't know that, that's what it's for. I assume the brass helps keep it from sticking to magnets and where it shouldn't. So, do we have ignition after putting everything back together? Yes, we do. Awesome. So, we are set there. Next step, get this head put back on. Head is on, torque down to the click once again, evenly all the way around. I don't know the torque specs. I'll see if I can find info on it, but she's got good compression. Then that's just with the spark plug finger tied in, and the rings need broken. And according to this, to break the rings in properly, you have to run. The engine should be set to run with fairly rich air-fuel mixture for the first 10 hours. I doubt I'm going to run this thing 10 hours. It's just more for play. So just run it real rich, and I guess I'll just let it idle a few tanks and rev up and go from there. But other than that, I mean, I'm pretty much as far as I can go tonight until I get that bolt, and we'll get the carburetor together. And this, sneak peek, this is the metering diaphragm. It's pretty good shape, actually. Has a lever that goes here and goes into a check ball, but we'll get more into that later. Pretty much goes on like that. And then there's a reed valve assembly, and we'll get all into that later. And I'll reiterate to everybody how these carburetors are adjusted according to how I was told. So, hopefully tomorrow, another video. We'll upload this one, and y'all get to watch it.